very, very fantastic morning and welcome to Spotlight on Sports on Y254. My name is Maxwell Wasiko. Of course, it's time to dissect matters sports, both local and international. And joining me on set, of course, is Zach Soguda from soccer.co.ke alongside, James Magai, Deputy President of Sports Journalists Association of Kenya. He's just guaranteed me this morning that I want to be lucky to travel to Russia next year during 2018 World Cup, courtesy of SJAC. That's a lifetime prestigious opportunity. And Zach Soguda is Kenyan #1 fan of Moroni Youth Football Club. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining me. Good morning. How have you been?
Good.
You easy?
Easy.
Jemo, how are you?
I'm all right. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. Of course, yesterday night, the national team Harambee Stars suffered 2-1 loss against Iraq in one of the international friendlies staged in various parts of the world. Of course, Michael Engineer Olunga, former Gor Mahia striker, and now playing for La Liga side Girona FC, equalizing and scoring the consolation for the visitors after, of course, the home side had sealed a 2-0 victory during the first half. I know you watched the game and you've keenly followed the proceedings. What's your general assessment about that fixture?
Well, we were poor in the first half, the Kenyan team, and everyone was thinking that Head Coach Okumbi would have paraded a new team coming into the second half. This being a friendly where he could have gauged the type of players that he had at his disposal. And luckily, only made I think 3 changes, and Olunga. And improved the second half, having Olunga pulling 1 goal back. But overall, I think we didn't do that well as many of us had expected from the national team.
James Magai, talk to us about the tactical and technical aspect of that game. Of course, the national team missing the services of their captain and Tottenham Hotspur's midfield linchpin Victor Mugubi Wanyama, and the midfield, being marshaled by Anthony Akuma alongside Samuel Onyango, who plays for Lindsay Stars. What do you make of that midfield partnership?
Well, Okumbi went defensive. He had 2 defensive midfielders in Ernest Wendo and Anthony Akumu. And it didn't work for Kenya because they conceded 2 goals in the opening half. And the biggest issue I had with the game was how much Kenya spent on the ticketing, on the flights, because it seems our hosts, Iraq, paid everything, including the players' allowances. And that goes for our next friendly match against Thailand.
Yeah.
If you pay me to come and play you, who expects me to beat you in your own turf, having paid me everything and footed all my cost? There is a bit of an issue I have with that. There could be an element of fixing. I'm not saying it was fixed, definitely, but there are elements that point towards that. And probably later on, we might have an investigation, a follow-up on that. But bottom line, FKF need to give a clear direction on what they want. Do they want to play friendlies to gain, climb the FIFA rankings, or do they want to play friendlies to give the youth, the younger players, the junior players an opportunity to feel the international game? Because it didn't happen yesterday. There are players who traveled and never tasted a minute of football, despite the game being a losing one from halftime.
Zach, since Nick Mwendwa took over from Sam Nyamwe as Football Kenya Federation president, of course he's initiated several friendlies, some of which have elicited mixed reactions, especially on social media platforms from Kenyan football followers saying that, the teams that Kenya has been playing against are minnows. And what do you make of the prowess of Iraq football national team? Of course, they are the 2012 Asian Cup champions. What do you make of
Iraq is a good
position?
Iraq is a good team, and all of us expected that they were going to give us a good game. If you look at the players on their side, their captain who scored the first penalty is based in Sweden, I think, with a team called Östrand. He's playing the top flight, the Swedish league, and that gave them some edge over us. Then being at home. The match being their second official match since FIFA banned home matches in Iraq. They had the fans behind them. Definitely it was going to be a tough duel for us. But just as you said, and to add what Magai has just spoken about, we should be going out in friendlies with things that are labeled well. Why are we playing friendlies? We're not there to make international friendly that enticing. We should be getting something from these friendlies. But when we engage in friendlies that are neither here or there, not adding anything on our strides, of these soccer strides, I think we are losing it. Nick has done what is done, but I think at many points, I think is a lost direction. Majorly with the guys around him, I think he lack good advisors who should be leading him on the good things that the team should be doing.
James Magai, now over to you. Of course, the national team tactician Stanley Okumbi was also castigated for making some of his choices wrong. Of course, playing Abu Domar, former Tusk FC left back, on the right wing, and Simon Bugwa, who plies his trade with Posta Rangers, now coming in as a left back. Do you think it's high time, you start relying on the services of the likes of Eric Marcelo, who formerly featured for Gor at the local team?
Well, between Marcelo and Abud, the two players are almost of the same caliber at left back, and depends on who is available and who is fit for which game. Each game has a different situation which the technical team considers. But that said, we have a large pool of players that are still untested, who should get a chance in such friendlies. National team is not a place for a select few. It has to be chances, opportunities have to be spread wide for everybody. That is when you discover, you unearth different talents. You could find a player who isn't really, does not really do well, does not really do well in the leagues, but you see the potential in him. If you give him an opportunity against Iraq or against another team in a friendly, then he can express himself and actually point out on what they need to be done to help them mature into the professionals we want.
Of course, it's Spotlight on Sports on Y254. My name is Maxwell Wasika, and James Magai and Zach Soguda, sports journalists with vast experience in matters coverage of football, both at home and even on overseas. They're just joining me to dissect about what's happening in the world of sports. Of course, it's an international week, and Kenya last night played against Iraq and they lost by 2-1, and they head to Thailand over the weekend on Sunday to play their second friendly. Heading to Thailand, expectations, Zach?
We don't have that much expectation. I'm surprised here with what Magai said. I didn't know these guys paid for our tickets and their allowances. If that was done, I think we've lost the game even before it started, because you don't expect to beat someone who's feeding you. I hope it will be a different ball game from what we saw yesterday against Iraq. Let's give the guys who are there a chance. I think yesterday, I think on our right wing, we were very poor on the right wing. Simon Bugwa was out of the game. Give guys like Dennis Ikai, the FC Leopard young defender, some chance. We have Boniface Mushiri from Tusker. Samuel Onyanga has been doing well with the national team. I think he lacked support yesterday, and we hope that every other person who made the trip can have a minute or two in the game to boost their confidence heading to our next serious games in the qualifiers.
James Magai, do you have a contrary opinion?
Well, I think Thailand are a much inferior team compared to Iraq, and we should give a good account of ourselves, considering there's a time we went 13 matches unbeaten. We need to get back in the groove, start winning games, even if they are friendly scattered for by our opponents. We need to get back into winning ways if we are to qualify for the next Cup of Nations. Remember, we have all the friendlies are a build-up towards the qualifiers, which we have next in March next year. We can only do well in the upcoming qualifiers if we are on a winning streak. That is why it is important that they get a win, regardless of the situations in Thailand, but they need to get a win to put us on track. 22162 is our SMS line, and our WhatsApp messaging line is 0700345457. Keep your contributions coming and be part of the program. Interact with us via our social media platforms as well, at Wasike Maxwell, my Twitter handle at TatlineY254.
and you can keep your submissions coming as usual. Of course, your feedback will be abundantly appreciated. Do you think Kenya deserved losing against Iraq, the Lions of Mesopotamia, and 2012 Asian champions? They head to Thailand over the weekend to play another second friendly during this international break. Away from that, of course, we heading to another football segment where we're talking about Sekafa Senior Challenge Cup. The tournament is earmarked to take place in Kenya, having confirmed by Sekafa Secretary General Nicholas Musonya alongside FKF top honcho. That's President Nick Mwendwa. Good riddance after missing out on hosting CHAN next year.
Yeah, it's some remedy to us after we messed up the CHAN preparation and it went away. I think there's another opportunity to show the East African community and African as a whole that we can host a competition. My problem is the host cities, the cities marked earmarked to host the competition. I think some of the stadiums are still not ready. I don't think Bukungu is that ready as people want to say. Kisumu, we know the state of Kisumu, the Moi Stadium Kisumu, how it is. We're just praying that these things are sorted before the tournament commences, which I think is in a month's time, a month or two time.
The very reason that Confederation of African Football cited to have not given Kenya the hosting rights of CHAN, a tournament meant for local-based players and earmarked for early next year starting January 12th, is the state of Kenyan facilities. And when Zax is saying and talking about Bukungu Stadium in Kakamega County not being ready and looking in awful shape, what do you make of the success of the tournament?
Well, I don't know if it will be successful, Sekafa. It has not been played for a while, and this haphazard hosting in Kenya is sort of meant to save the organization from dying.
And talking about Bukungu Stadium, of course, Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya, the current governor of Kakamega County, alongside Nick Mwendwa, FKF president, they are just inspecting the stadium. You don't see it looking in good shape, James Magai?
well, Bukungu,
or it's just the hype on social media.
Bukungu might be close to being ready, but what about the rest? We know Nyayo will not be ready. We know Kasarani could be ready for Sekafa standards. Kisumu could host Sekafa. We've seen worse from Kenya before. But hosting it is one thing. The success is a different thing altogether. Do we just host it for the sake of hosting it? Do we just host it for the sake of saving Sekafa, which has not been active for a number of years, 2-3 years now? What are our priorities? Is it another political gimmick the football fathers are playing to keep Kenya relevant after missing out on CHAN? And by the way, the cabinet is recalling some of the funds earmarked for CHAN.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the pitches that were previously meant for CHAN would actually be constructed to completion.
Of course, it's 3 counties set to host the competition. Probably they are doing that to devolve football to Mashinani. Nakuru County is one of them. Is Afra Stadium ready? Now that you've talked about Kisumu and Kakamega.
Going by the so many games that are bound to be played between now and the end of the season at the Afra Stadium, I think it might need a bit of polishing before we welcome our guests at home. Being ready, just like Magaya said, is relative. I think for me, Afra is not that ready, but it should be a bit, I think, refurbished to meet the standards that are required at Sekafa. I know all along we've been hosting a Shebi Sekafa. 3 years down the line, it's coming back again. I want to see us get away from this norm of just hosting competition. If you're going to host a competition, at least do it well. If you know you're not in a position to host a competition well, just let it be let's go to any other nation that is ready to host any. I think Tanzania has better stadiums to host tournaments. I don't know about that much about Uganda. But for me, I feel we're still not ready to host a very serious, successful competition as of now.
It's a topic.
And we are not doing much to achieve the status required to be able to host a FIFA certified tournament, not just a game. Remember, even the playing surface at Kasarani needs to be scooped off and replaced by a standard certified grass. Same to Nyayo and not talking about, I've not even mentioned the bumpy pitches that first of all need to be leveled, then the required grass planted on them. So I don't know where we are headed. I don't even know if we are making progress at all.
It's a topic we want to be paying much focus on during tomorrow's touchline 12 to 2. Of course, Nick Mwendo, FKF president, will be here and shed light on the same, whether we just hosting the tournament for the sake of it, or we hosting it in a quality version. Of course, away from that is matters Dennis the Menace Oliech, former Harambee Stars striker, and he formerly featured for several clubs, especially in France, Nantes, Auxerre, and FC Ayasi. Of course, several talk about his lifestyle and his financial stability several days ago, but he answered his critics in his stylistic version, of course, after securing a 1-year deal to his former club, Nantes, a club he parted ways with in 2005. Confirmation of what we're reading, that Dennis the Menace Oliech has just sealed a 1-year deal to FC Nantes in France, and he will be earning 30.4 million shillings, Kenyan money, monthly.
It should be a good thing if it was to be true, though I don't think Nantes have confirmed the same. But I hear, just as you've said, that talks are ongoing. I don't know how fit Oliech is to come back and play a competitive game. To guys who've been speaking badly, or let me say badly in quotes, about Oliech, I think they've missed a lot. The problem with us Kenyans is we give a lot of attention to guys who know nothing about the game, and we give them priorities. Oliech is someone who's done a lot to the nation.
Yes.
He might be having his own problems, but I think the bashing was uncalled for. You see a photo of Oliech when he's bushy, then you start making your own conclusion that the guy is struggling. I don't think that was called for. We should be giving him his chance to do the things that he wants to do in life. He's done well for the country, and all we can do is to wish him well in his endeavors heading into his next, I think, career. So
James Magaya equally condemned the critics of Dennis the Menace Oliech in strongest terms. Of course, he's done a lot for the country. He's been exceptional in terms of his striking for the nation, carrying the country during 2004 African Cup of Nations, the last time Kenya featured in the Continental Championship. And, he's just done magnificently good for the country. And the bashing, as Zach Soguda says, it is uncalled for, and, should not be tolerated. What do you think about Dennis Oliech and coming back to active football?
Well, I know he has grown up. He has stopped the extravagant life that we used to know him about, and that is why people might think that he is broke. But he is doing fairly well. He is representing several brands, and he earns multiple millions from just representing the brands.
Yeah.
So
he's just been unveiled a week ago as the brand ambassador for Bunsen Travel.
In addition to the Betway deal that he has, which is about 14 million a year. So the guy is doing fairly well. He hasn't sent an SOS that he needs financial assistance. You can't base somebody's somebody's wealth by the look of his face.
True.
I may be moneyed, but I look as shabby as...
You look malnourished, yet you have financial muscles.
Well, I don't know how fit he is. I don't know if he's been keeping, he's been training anywhere, but having played professional football for a while, for over 10 years, actually close to 15 years, I wouldn't count him out. The likes of Mariga are still playing. Oliech can still do 2-3 more years, and he could be more determined to silence his critics at this moment. The announcement should come today or tomorrow.
Today.
The announcement,
the official announcement,
yes, of whether the club resigns him. We should be knowing that today or tomorrow. But I wish him well in all his endeavors.
Now, before we go to international football, of course, several World Cup qualifiers and international friendly ties were played last night. Before we head there, of course, let's talk about the national team women's under 17, which, of course, they have withdrawn from FIFA under 17 World Cup qualifiers because, according to Football Kenya Federation, they couldn't raise a team. Does it mean that Kenya lacks talent?
I found that reason baffling, though it has some weight on it. Maybe most of the girls who will be playing the competition are going to sit for the exams according to the reasoning they gave us. But the other time we sent an under 17 in the COSAFA championship, I think the boys were in school too, though I don't think they are doing the exam, but we raised a team for a COSAFA championship. It was an under 17 team. But then the president told us that the under 17 boys were to be incorporated in a program where they could learn together and be and play together for some period of time, so that they could form that rapport. Being outside of the under 17 qualifiers, I think it might come with repercussions too, as we've seen with what FIFA has done with I think Guinea-Bissau and Botswana, who forfeited the under 20 qualifiers against us. It's the only time that will tell. FIFA might decide that we failed to honor a game and give us a ban on the same. But all in all, I felt, on my side, I felt we could raise a team for qualifiers, more so with the girls now doing well, the junior teams for the girls doing well in their competition.
James, do you think the reason FKF has cited with regards to the tight academic schedule with most school kids having started their exams is justified factor for them to withdraw?
Not really. Well, we can't have an under 17 squad that is sitting the national exams entirely, the entire squad sitting national exams. FKF are not being forthright with Kenyans, and we have to dig deep in the relationship between FKF and the Kenya Secondary School Sports Association, because that is where the whole truth will unravel. But you can't say that the entire squad is going to sit for their national exams. Kenya has a lot of teenagers who fit that age bracket, who will not be sitting for their national exams during that period. And you can't say that in this entire country, countries, an 18-person team.
True.
I am not convinced with the reason FKF gave us for that.
Of course, yesterday several fixtures were played. Armenia losing to Poland by 6-1. Azerbaijan being beaten by Czech Republic 2-1. England through Hurricane Tottenham Hotspur striker beating Slovenia during dying minutes by 1-0. Malta drawing 1-1 against Lithuania. Montenegro being beaten by Denmark 1-0. Then North Ireland being beaten by Germany, the 2014 World Cup champions, by 3-1. San Marino, of course, being routed by Norway 8-0. That was a landslide. And to one side, the fair Scotland being beaten by Slovakia by 1-0. That is Europe World Cup qualification. And in South America World Cup qualification, Bolivia drew against 5-time World Cup champions Brazil. That is a stalemate. And in Asia, Syria drawing against Australia 1-1. Of course, those are the fixtures that were played last night. And in World Cup friendlies, Hong Kong beating Laos 4-0, and other fixtures, of course, so Kenya being beaten by Iraq by 2-1. Tonight, mouth-watering fixture, World Cup qualifier as far as African continent is concerned. Mali against Ivory Coast. Your quick prediction in winding up. Mali against Ivory Coast.
Mali, Ivory Coast, I think 2-1 to Ivory Coast.
2-1 in favor of Ivory Coast.
Yes.
James?
I would go for a goalless draw.
A goalless draw. It's been Spotlight on Sports on Y254. My name is Maxwell Wasike. Let's again do this tomorrow in detailed version, of course, during the touchline. 12-2 with myself alongside Robert Osoro. You're going to stay tuned. Biggest and comprehensive show lined up. James Magan, it's also good to have you on board. Thanks for making time to be with us and dissect about what's happening in the world of sports. Enjoy and have a fantastic day.